I'd like to call the Fire Station Building Committee meeting on Wednesday, May 28th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. here at the Lakeville Police Station to order at 6:30. With that is LakeCAM is recording, and I believe they are live on Facebook this evening. Is anybody else recording the meeting? No? Okay. We can all rise for Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. How's everybody doing?
Wonderful.
Yeah, everybody's good? Happy end of May. Okay, in our packet, we have a set of minutes from April 23rd, 2025. Did everybody have a chance to go through them? All right, well then I will entertain a motion for approval of the Fire Station Building Committee meeting minutes of April 23rd, 2025.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, any corrections? Nope, seeing none. Roll, please.
Darling, aye. Costan, abstain. McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Superfoot, aye.
Simon, aye.
Conroy, abstain.
All right. Okay, and now we're on to updates, project updates. I know that, we haven't met in 4 weeks, right? Is it
About a month, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had a pretty, good meeting the last time about, the whole process of the intake, and where we're going. So, I'm excited to hear, kind of where we are now.
Yeah, we're almost at the finish line of getting this out to bid. Kyle couldn't be here tonight, so we have some updates to just provide for the design team. He's been plenty busy with his head down, getting the design done. So, maybe I'll just start with, last night we had Concom, here. So Spencer from PAR Group presented the project. Thought he did an excellent job presenting the project, presenting the history that we had before with the no take, and getting the RDA before that meeting last night. So there wasn't really a ton of comments back. The main point being Concom wants to have this peer reviewed. So Spencer did try to plead the case that this has been seen a lot of eyes, a lot of professionals, but the Concom, which is their right, asked for a peer review on this, which is fine. So another set of eyes doesn't hurt. So we're lining up that process. They asked us to come back in a month, so the 24th, we'll be back in front of them. So hopefully the process of peer review can move pretty quickly on that. I think it's probably going to be somebody local here or in the area that is familiar with the Concom. So I think that'll be helpful if it is a firm like that. So I think that'll go smoothly. That'll be fine. We didn't assume that we would walk out of there with approval right away. So I guess it was kind of par for the course, and it went fine. It was smooth. Like I said, I didn't hear any negative comments towards the project, just some questions that were answered, and we ended it with a peer review. So that's how Concom went.
Yeah, Taylor, it's probably worth mentioning too, they're limiting the review to stormwater only. From what I saw, it didn't look like they were, where we already have an ANRAD in place,
right.
Wetland delineation. They're not going into all that, they're gonna be just doing stormwater. So to one side of it, if the planning board, when we go before planning board with site plan review, if the stormwater's already done, that'll make the planning board process go a little quicker.
Yeah, so to jump on that too is Spencer and PAR are gearing up for their submission to planning board and board of health. Hopefully get something in next week for their next meetings as well. So they were waiting on the planning board stuff. We were dealing with some architectural questions about the height of the tower that we've kind of flushed out. So they're good to go there. And then obviously Board of Health, before Spencer presented or submitted to Board of Health, he wanted to have the Concom meeting here just to make sure they were all set with everything going forward. So both of those will be kind of happening in succession as we kind of push forward here.
That's good.
Yeah, so permitting wise, we're moving in the right direction. What else on design side of things? We have, since our last meeting, finishes had a second meeting, kind of our last meeting before we go out to bid. So I think everything there is finally, landed. The chief and his team did a good job of picking out finishes there. There will be some final selections, but those won't take place until we get actual submittals from the contractor. And it's, pick this blue or that blue at that time, so they have the palette, and that's, fully baked for design. And then it just really comes down to, as things come in, you kind of make those final decisions one way or the other. And those can all be made, with the committee or, with the team there. So, don't expect any issues there. I don't know if you want to hit anything about the finishes, Chief?
No, we kind of went with a conservative theme. It wasn't anything too outrageous, and it was a rare moment at the fire department. We were in consensus, so it was we all agreed on our choices and stuff, which was made me uncomfortable, really.
Good. Well, that's the fun stuff,
Yeah.
It's all fun, but.
I'm going to pass it over to Alex to hit on a couple items too that she's been working on. So.
Yeah, so before we go out to bid, we always like to do a quality control review, and we send it out to a company called ReadyCheck. We've used them a few times on other projects, and they're extremely helpful where they look throughout the entire set of documents, look for, things that don't match up, especially in the MEP side. It's helpful, where we may not be experts on the MEP side. They have on their staff MEP consultants that they can look through all the documents. So Secotio sent that to the ReadyCheck on the 23rd, so that was last Friday. It takes about 2 weeks for that review to get done, and then they'll set up a Zoom meeting with us and go through some of the comments. They don't go through every little comment, but some of the major highlights, which we end up finding to be extremely helpful in the quality control review.
It's very good. We used to just do it all in-house ourselves. But the drawings have just been so complex to these buildings that, using a third party to check, basically peer review the drawings before they go out on the street, found a huge value to. So, again, it's in our contract, so it's not an extra cost that we pass on, to you anyway, but, so we'll get those comments back, we'll share them, but Alex did send out the link to the drawings too, so if you want to see exactly what went out to ReadyCheck as well, that hit everybody.
Do they do overlays and stuff as well, or
yeah.
they just do?
They do overlays. They, check if there's, any hits with MEPs, issues, as far as coordination goes. It's very intense,
thorough,
actually.
yeah.
So we found a lot of help from it, pushing drawings out, before bid. So.
Do they look for opportunities to maintain design intent while providing like VE,
like VE stuff,
potential VE options?
every once, maybe I wouldn't say they focus on that, but they will come up with some easier ways to do things sometimes. But it's definitely focused on constructability and making sure that there's nothing missing from the drawings. Yeah.
I think that's it on QA/QC. Materials testing. We put out an RFP a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago now. Those quotes are going to be due this Friday, and we'll review them. And probably next meeting we'll come with a recommendation potentially, or in a couple meetings.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah,
I was just gonna, so material testing we'll need for the duration of the project. So it's a budget line that we carried, but they'll, test concrete, they'll test compaction of soils. If they need to look at welds, they'll do that. So it's a third-party testing agent that's, required by the structural engineer anyway, but it's typical on every project. So we just kind of put out proposals now to get somebody in line so that when we start, we have somebody on board. So I'll share all those proposals with Andrew because it's really just get three proposals type situation. So you've probably heard of them all: UTS, Briggs, SW Cole, that sort of testing. Actually, we did send one to Felch this time. Yeah. So we'll get proposals back and we'll share those with the committee.
Great.
And then the last thing I had was commissioning. Again, another agent that will be on for the duration of the project. I've got the RFP drafted, but I'd like to send it to our MEP consultants. They review it as well before that goes out.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And the idea was that commissioning, if we do it here, would just be for HVAC.
Yeah.
So we can, as we get those proposals, we can share those with the committee as well.
Okay.
So really what we've been gearing up is to get this out to bid. So the architectural team and our team have been working kind of on the front end of things, meaning the contract, that sort of thing. So the town didn't have a standard form of contract for a project of this size. So we've been working on that with the design team, and the design team is working on getting all the drawings, ready to go out as well. So we're hoping, like Alex said, to have QA, QC, comments back in about 2 weeks. And we're targeting now probably, we didn't want to put it out on the 4th of July, that week, because it's just going to fall on, dead eyes at that point. So we're targeting the second week of July to get this out to bid. So we think that'll give us plenty of time in June, get the comments back, review. There's still some things that are being flushed out here. We were hoping, I know a couple weeks ago, we were thinking maybe mid-June, but I'd really like to give it another 2 to 3 weeks to make sure that it's a tight set before, just putting it out. So it's not going to affect us overall in the long run of the bids, but, that's kind of our recommendation at this point. We'll put together a full bid schedule once we get full buy-in from the design team. That's kind of just what Kyle said. It's based on what we're, seeing right now, we can meet that deadline. So if we can move it up, we will, but we're probably not going to look at pushing it out any further past that second week in July.
Now, when you're putting the bid out, I know in some cases, there's a site walk. Is that something that you would do even though, okay, so you'd have a site walk, and then during that site walk, is that where you would do your RFI for information, or would you have that in for another?
So they can, once we get the bid out on the street, they'll have a person to send RFIs to, so they can ask RFIs during that. When we do the site walkthrough, we actually encourage them not to ask questions there.
Okay.
Because what you don't want to do is answer questions in the field, and then other bidders don't get the answers
Correct.
to those questions if they're not at that walkthrough. Because it's actually very difficult to make those walkthroughs mandatory. People have protested that and said, that doesn't really make much of a difference. We shouldn't have to be there, sort of thing. But so we try not to let them ask questions there. They can, ask them, but what we do is, when you leave, send us an RFI on those, and we'll get everything out. So, we'll get the bid schedule over to Andrew, work on the bid posting for the Central Register, combis, all that fun stuff, newspaper ad. We handle all that and kind of coordinate that for you as well. So, we're going to recommend using Project Dog as the bid posting portal. It's great for, basically what it is an online portal that the drawings sit. So if you need the drawings, you got to log into Project Dog to get the drawings. So it keeps a plan holder list, so we can go on there and see how many GCs have pulled it. And I know we pre-qualified for this, but if somebody on that pre-qualified list isn't there, I'd call them up and say, hey, did you see this? Why aren't you pulling the drawings, sort of thing. And then all the addendas go through there as well. So it's not like the old way of the town having to hold the documents here and coming picking them up and sending them out. So the town is kind of off the hook for somebody saying, hey, I didn't get the addenda. Once they sign up for Project Dog, they get every notification that goes out. So that's our recommendation as well, is to use that bid hosting, platform. We use it on pretty much all of our projects. It's outstanding. It's less than $1,000, so to basically make sure you're covered if,
Sure.
somebody doesn't have the drawings. Yeah.
No, that's good. Anybody have any questions? No? Oh,
I guess the one other thing I have, just looking for, the one other thing is we're still discussing how we want to put the water line out. The project team, or I should say PAR, and the engineers that are actually working on that, still think it's a good idea to put it out separately. And I do too. I think you'd see a cost savings rather than trying to jam it into the whole project. We don't necessarily have to still put it out early. We could put it out at the same time or even right after the other bid because it's work that can be done, at the same time, really. So we're still kind of kicking that around. But my guess is it'll still be put out as a separate project, just the water line work itself, which, like I said, can be done concurrently, right after, right before, but just how timing has worked with permitting. I don't know if we're going to be able to get it out before the end of it. So That's why it might go out at the same exact time, but probably a separate project just because of the type of project that it is. You'll see different bidders kind of bid that sort of work because it's horizontal work as opposed to vertical. So.
And I know you're in unison with Andrew, because I know Andrew's trying to, secure funding if possible, to have that taken care of where it's infrastructure.
Yeah, that's another good reason for bidding it separately, so we don't have to kind of cull out that cost. We'll have exactly what it costs once we bid that, so. So we did carry a cost in our overall estimate for the overall project.
Yep.
We can basically kind of take that estimate out and use it, put it to the side for the water line separate.
Sure.
Are we doing any alternates?
Right now, there's no alternates planned, but that may change. I have to talk to Kyle about that, but as far as I know, there's none right now.
So putting this out to bid separately and separating from the project, Andrew, are you assuming that because it's infrastructure, there's some type of funding for it, that we could have some savings? Is that a possibility?
It's a possibility. Yeah,
I like savings.
I think they look to bid it out separately because a GC will just upcharge us to then get us up to do that work.
Yeah, they're gonna put their, they're gonna mark it up and be part of a bigger project. But I think the biggest cost savings you'll see, and we saw it when we did the water line to here, was the contractors that bid on it are like water line contractors. That's like all they do. So the numbers we saw were awesome. They were very good at the time. Whereas if you group it into the whole project, it kind of just gets lost in the equation. Their site guy throws a number on it. So I think you'll see a savings, or you might not see it, but a savings will be recognized by putting out separately.
Yeah, and if there's, money out there to cover that, then, we'll find it. So.
So we're not doing like site work separately, like clearing the whole.
No, the site work will fall under the GC scope. So it's not a separate filed sub bidder. It's the GC hires the site contractor, which is pretty typical.
Anybody else? All right.
So quiet. It's all good news. We're moving in the right direction. I that's why I asked Alex to send the drawings earlier. It's because it's not like we have a lot to show you right now, because it's kind of all gearing up for it. But the drawings, if you take a look at them, they're pretty in depth at this point, so you can kind of see that level of detail that they're getting. And they're still working on them. We sent them off to QA/QC, but they're still being worked on by the design team. So the idea is that when they get those drawings back from QA/QC, that most of the comments that they have, they've kind of picked up themselves as the drawings have moved along, right? So.
Yeah, I saw your email come in. I just haven't even had a chance to look at it.
Okay.
But yeah, I saw design. I'm like, it'll be fun to look at.
But certainly, if there's any comments or questions on the drawings, feel free to send us an email. We'd be happy to answer them, take a look at things.
All right, perfect. So we do have a couple of invoices here. There should be 4. Is there 4?
Yes, there was
Okay.
4.
All right, good. All right, Nate, would you like to,
Nate loves to spend money.
Yep, so, motion to approve LEC invoice number 153013 dated 5/8/2025, in the amount of $1,857.50.
Second.
a motion and a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, roll please.
Darling, aye.
Costan, aye. McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Suffolk, aye.
Simon, aye.
Conray, aye.
Make a motion to approve Palmer Associates LLC invoice number 23.111.0-13 dated 4/30/2025 in the amount of $16,200.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll please.
Darling, aye.
Costan, aye. McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Suffolk, aye.
Simon, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Make a motion to approve Secoshio and Associates Architects invoice number 23083-13 dated 5/2/2025 in the amount of $218,504.82.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Seeing none, roll please.
Darling, aye?
Costin, aye. McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Super, aye.
Simon, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Last but not least, make a motion to approve Scotia and Associates Architects invoice number 23083-14 dated 6/2/2025.
In the future.
It's in the future.
That hasn't happened yet.
In the amount of $222,254.81.
Is that date okay? Can we amend the date?
I just noticed it.
Huh?
6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first one was 5/2, but you're right, I just noticed it.
5/2?
Yeah, it's technically for services through 5.
For the end of the month, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right,
to the
okay.
end of the month, so I mean, the work is done. They're actually underbilling, in my eyes, but,
It's not by the date, it's just 75% complete on the documents.
yeah.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? No? Roll please.
Darling, aye?
Costin, aye.
McCullough, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Carboni, aye.
Super, aye.
Simon, aye.
Conroy, aye.
Okay. Okay, so anybody have any old business they'd like to bring up? I just have one thing. I know we touched upon it at the last meeting in talking with Andrew and our finance director. They're going to be working on future budget projections for the next few years. And we talked about, kind of an idea of what the operational piece would be for this.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to, try to, get something, together for that.
Absolutely, yeah, I've been trying to work on it kind of without existing information on the design side of things. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually pull some information from this station. So we've been in touch with Chief Perkins today, and he's gonna get us some information that we can the design team can kind of plug in and use, and then put some factors too. But we have a good amount of history here in terms of what's been used as far as energy consumption goes. So they'll be able to model it based off this station. I think it'll give us a really good idea of what we're going to see.
Now, what about our current fire station budget? Will that come into, would that be helpful in any way?
As far as what they currently use of the existing station?
Yeah, I mean,
It's tough because a lot of we don't pay any of the utilities and things like that out of our budget. It's more of a facility-wide, expense. So it's tough to use that as a model.
Yeah, that's tough too, just based on the type of light fixtures they have over there and how inefficient that building is. So
Right.
that's why we're going to try to use this building, but.
okay.
Have you guys designed anything similar recently and built?
Yeah, absolutely. The issue is the rates you're getting from the companies. So we're trying to use Lakeville, something in Lakeville to help us. But
Right.
yeah, we can look at some of that information too. I'll ask the design team if that helps as well. But we're starting here.
I was just looking for like a general ballpark, whether it's
Yeah.
100, 200 million, whatever. No, I know it's not gonna be a million, but
Yeah, we'll get you that.
yeah, I just want to ballpark.
And I know there's some questions on PV as well too, so we're working on some information for that as well as what,
Okay.
it's not in the budget, there's no, solar panels in the budget, but we'll get you some information on what it could cost to put it on the building, what the energy savings could be. So we'll work on that.
Okay. Anybody else?
Did you want to mention anything about the low voltage technology aspect of some of the back and forth that's been going on?
Yeah, so Geva from Save Our City met with the chief again a couple weeks ago to go through all the low voltage in the building, meaning like alerting system where data is going to be, power is going to be, kind of radios throughout the building. And he had concerns about kind of some of those systems and the price of some of those systems. So there's been some back and forth about understanding if those were covered in our original estimate. I have a pretty good feeling that they were based on the size of the electrical number. So he's been going through that with Kyle. So I think we're gonna be okay, chief. I just don't have more information to report on it. Based on what I see, I just don't understand how he could be pricing us out of what we had estimated before, because it was pretty hefty.
Okay.
So I need to understand it better, but that's one of the things that they're kind of concentrating on right now as far as the design goes.
Just as background, we're being like asked to make some like decisions about what kind of technology we need and things like that. And it's difficult to make those decisions if you don't know what it costs. And, you know, so that's kind of where we reached out to Taylor to help dial it in, so.
Yeah, we're kind of going the way of finding out what the fire department needs and what the chief needs. And if there's things we have to scale back, those could be ad alternates, based on what the prices might be. But I'm knock on wood, but I'm fairly confident what was estimated the first round would cover what you've included already.
It just, some of the technology is really about efficiency, like in basically connecting these two buildings. So dispatch and things like that. We're looking for ways of making sure that our dispense with some of our radio equipment, even like newer systems will operate through phones and there'll be instantaneous alerts sent out for certain types of calls. There's all these efficiencies to be gained here. It's such a good opportunity to take advantage of it and to have it also throughout the building. So the responders in the building have situational awareness as to what's going on in the town. And they actually can be connected to towns around us as well. So we can see what's going on in their towns. And it's a pretty good opportunity to really take advantage of this opportunity to improve the way we do things. But it's really important us not to not get tied into a technology that's going to require us to alter the building 20 years from now to go to whatever's the latest and the greatest. So that was kind of the marching order, is like build something that's usable today, something that's going to make us better at what we're doing, but not something that we'd have to destroy the building to change and update further on down the road. That was kind of his marching orders. So
Yeah, it's going to be a robust system, and I think no matter what, the provisions will be in place for maybe those parts and pieces that might be too expensive right now.
Yep.
And the system that he's designing to is kind of like a plug and play type system.
Yeah,
too. You can add on to it at other times, and so that's what I told Geva to kind of focus on. And again, I think I don't know what he's getting tied up with really, because the number that we carried for the electrical components of this was a hefty number in the estimate. So I'm having him give us his estimate. I'm waiting on him to kind of estimate all the systems based on his expertise, and then we can go through it together. We'll pull you into that too, Chief.
yeah, and our IT guy's been chiming in as needed too all along. So.
All right. All right, is there any new business? All right, so next meeting, how far do you think we should go? I know we've looked at the second and the fourth Wednesday for here. But if we end up adjusting, we can certainly do that too. So based on when your submittals go out,
I don't think we need to meet on the 11th, but we could maybe the 25th.
okay?
And then at that point, it'll be, hey, this is our bid schedule. This is, we're going out. We'll have information on the bidding.
Okay. All right, so June 25th, 6:30 here. All right. Excellent. Okay, any other business coming before the meeting? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 6:59.
So moved.
All right. And we'll just do it for formality. We'll do a roll.
Darling, aye.
Austin, aye. McCullough, aye.
Right.
Carboni, aye.
Suit what I.
All right.
Conroy, aye.
All right. Well, thank you very much.